Jason had just picked up his daughter from school, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows on the pavement as they made their way toward their favorite ice cream shop a few blocks away. She was chatting excitedly about a drawing she had made in class when something caught Jason's eye near the edge of the parking lot. The young girl, maybe 10 or 11 years old, was being yanked forcefully by the arm by a man who looked far too aggressive to be her parent. The girl was visibly terrified, her small body resisting, her shoe scraping the ground, and her mouth opening in silent protest that wasn't quite loud enough to be heard over the traffic. Jason's heart stopped. Every parental instinct surged through his veins like fire. Without a second thought, he pushed his daughter gently behind him and muttered, "Stay right here." Then he sprinted toward the scene. The man didn't even see him coming. Jason didn't ask questions, didn't pause to assess the situation. He just acted. His fist flew with all the urgency and fury of a father protecting any child, not just his own. The punch landed hard, square on the man's jaw, sending him stumbling backward to the ground. The girl stumbled away from her would-be captor and straight into Jason's arms, shaking but safe. The man hit the pavement with a grunt, clutching his face in shock and pain, clearly not expecting to be confronted. The girl, now free from his grip, instinctively moved closer to Jason, her small hands trembling as she clung to his shirt. Jason knelt down beside her, gently placing his hands on her shoulders. "Are you okay? Did he hurt you?" he asked, his voice both calm and urgent. She shook her head, her eyes filling with tears, unable to speak at first. Around them, people began to gather, some pulling out their phones, others dialing the police or simply watching in stunned silence. Jason's own daughter cautiously approached, her white eyes locking with the girl's, sensing the fear. Jason positioned himself between the girl and the man on the ground, who now sat up slowly, still dazed, muttering something incoherent. Jason didn't move, his fists clenched, his breath steady but sharp, ready to defend again if needed. His heart was pounding not from the force of the punch, but from the terrifying thought of what might have happened if he had arrived just a moment later. He could still feel the girl's fear vibrating through her grip on his sleeve. This wasn't just an act of courage, it was a moment where instinct, rage, and protection collided in a way that left no room for hesitation. When the police arrived minutes later, red and blue lights flashing across the parking lot, Jason stood tall with his hands slightly raised, not in fear but in readiness to explain everything. Officers approached quickly, assessing the scene, one of them motioning for the crowd to step back. Before Jason could even open his mouth, the girl stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. "He saved me," she said, pointing at Jason. "That man isn't my dad. He grabbed me after school and tried to take me." Her words were like a lightning strike, slicing through the tension and making the truth instantly clear. The officers turned their attention to the man on the ground, who had been trying to rise to his feet. One of them immediately restrained him while another began questioning witnesses nearby. Jason's daughter ran to his side and slipped her hand into his, looking up at. Later that evening, the house was quiet except for the soft hum of the television playing a cartoon neither of them was really watching. Jason sat on the couch, his back against the cushions, one arm draped around his daughter, who was curled up beside him under a blanket. She hadn't said much since dinner, but now she looked up at him with wide, thoughtful eyes. "You are a hero today," she whispered, her voice barely louder than the background noise. Jason looked down at her, his face still etched with the emotional weight of the day. He gave her a tired smile and brushed a loose strand of hair from her forehead. "I just did what any parent would do," he said quietly. But deep down, he knew that wasn't always true. Sometimes people looked away, stayed silent, or hesitated. He hadn't. His mind replayed the moment over and over, the girl's terrified eyes, the strength in her tiny arms as she tried to pull away, the pure instinct that drove him forward without thought or fear. The what-ifs haunted him, and yet, so did the overwhelming sense of relief. Somewhere out there, a little girl was safe tonight. And for a single dad who often questioned whether he was doing enough, today had been a reminder that love, courage, and instinct could make